Okay, and at 7:04, we'll call the meeting to order. And the first item on the agenda is to, oh, we forgot to accept the agenda. So the first item on the agenda normally would be to amend the agenda if needed.
Sorry.
Since that's not on the agenda, let's amend the agenda to allow for amendments to the agenda. Does anyone have any?
No,
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
as written.
So moved.
So moved.
So moved.
We've got Liddy and then Melissa, and all in favor, please say aye or raise your
Aye.
hand.
Aye.
And are any opposed? And hearing none, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is to amend if necessary and then accept the minutes of our special meeting held on September 21st. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes, and are there any amendments to be made?
By me.
Motion
Okay.
to accept the agenda, the minutes as written.
Seconded by Stella, or no,
Oh,
seconded
that was
by
Wendy's dog.
That's Juno. Juno.
Juno
Seconded
seconded.
by Juno. Wendy, I'll put you as the second, if that's okay.
Yes.
All right. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand or both.
Aye.
Aye.
And if any are opposed, and hearing none, that motion carries. And next we will have the treasurer's report. Liddy.
Yes, treasurer's report. Did I not send it around? I think I
No,
forgot
no.
to. Sorry about that, folks. We had a little expense under total supplies. We got a book. So I put that under library books for $19.13. And then we paid all of our dues to the 3 organizations that we're members of. So we spent a total of $184.13 this month, leaving us with a lot of money, $2,300 to go.
In the calendar year?
Not,
No,
no, the budget
fiscal
year,
year.
the budget year, the fiscal year, which starts June 30th.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's that.
Liddy, can I mention that we might have some Conservation Commission poster costs? I'm not sure whether we're getting a grant from Eversource. They're very slow to move. But if so, we'll split it with the library since we're the co-sponsors.
Okay, well, we'll deal with that when it comes up.
If
Right.
so, or if not, like the money will either come from Eversource, or if it's not, then we'll split it with the library.
That's right, yeah.
Got it. Okay,
Sounds good. The other thing that I have to report is the Cougar Fund. We published the 2022 version. We printed 100 books. The bookstore has already taken 10, and Northwest Connecticut Land Conservancy, we got that right? Bought 25 of them. So we're down, we have 63 left. Yeah.
and the
And
Land Trust wanted 10, and we need them because people are asking.
well, then put in an order.
Can I order them from you right
Yes.
now?
Yes, you
Okay,
may. Yes, you
Okay.
may. 10 to KLT.
thank you.
I'll drop them off.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And just send an email with the amount and we'll
I'll
have Gwen
put it in,
process
I'll
that.
put an invoice with it.
Great.
What I didn't get from Barbara, the town treasurer, was what our current balance is in the Cougar Fund. I think the current balance, as soon as we get paid by NCLC, is $10,815. But I do need that confirmed. What she gave me was just what's happened in the last month or so, I guess.
Okay.
So I will confirm that.
Is that in any kind of a savings account, or I'm not that there's much interest involved, but when it
It-
gets to that number,
It generates a little bit of interest, and Barbara posts that at the end of each fiscal
Okay.
year.
okay.
It's peanuts.
I was going to ask the same thing
Yeah.
about interest. Yeah.
Well, but it probably also doesn't warrant playing the market.
I don't think so.
The
Not
interest
now.
should be going up now,
No,
right?
not yet.
You can get 2.75% in some of the online savings accounts now.
Really?
So
But you
All
pay a
right,
whole
big-
lot more.
Big bucks.
Anyway, that's the treasurer's report.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to public comment, the record should reflect that no members of the public are present. Nobody's in the waiting room, right? Please watch the screen and let me know.
Where does the waiting room show up?
It just kind of flashes up at the top. And also, I think if you go to participants, you can see
Oh,
if
you can
there
see
are
extra people,
people in
okay.
the waiting room.
Thank you. Just curious.
Sure. All right. All right, great. And so let's move on to our discussion items. Big weekend coming up with the Green Energy Initiative presentation. So we all now have the full copy of the Kent Baseline Energy Report. I'm not sure what KCS Cary Firestone Climate Club refers to, so we can talk about that and we can talk about the program. So let me pass the floor to Wendy.
Well, everything seems to be on track. We might get a story in the Lakeville Journal this week. They're very hard to find, those people. And they call you back and they say, why did you call me? I mean, they really don't seem to understand what they're doing at the moment. Anyway, but we were in the Waterbury Republican, as some of you know. And I hope there's a good turnout. I can't say for sure. At least 2 of the people who registered have been called away to John Baker's birthday.
Sorry about that,
Our
Wendy.
numbers went down by 2 right there. Anyway, but I don't think I have much to report.
Baker's birthday, right?
That it's been a very nice trip. We've got a great bunch of people. Couple of them are out with COVID right now, so our team is down a little bit. Dana Slaughter is in the sick bay. But Pace has been a terrific companion, and I hope we'll continue to have a relationship with him after this. And we have about 8 representatives of some of these energy sources, so that they will have tables in the lobby, and people who want to ask questions or get a form to fill out or investigate further. And there's also somebody there for anybody who wants to have an energy audit. And I would say that if you haven't had one, or if you haven't had one in more than 3 years, you ought to really consider it. It's a real value. Everybody here had an energy audit at some point?
Yes,
A long time ago.
yeah, but quite a
So
while
how
ago.
much does it cost right now to have an energy audit?
$50, and they come and they spend 3 hours or so in your house running around sealing things up, and they don't give you light bulbs anymore. She told me that. She thought I'd be terribly disappointed, but I wasn't. So that's what's happening.
Do you
Kent
know,
School-
they do a business energy audit?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay, that sounds
Oh,
great. How many
I
people
think
have
so. Most of the businesses in Kent are small enough that they can do that. Yeah.
How many
mean, they're
people
not-
have registered?
It's somewhere between 85 and 100, but I don't know how many people actually register. A lot of people will just show, I hope. So that's-
Wendy, I have a question. In the past, when the library does programs, they record it and then they make it available on their website in the future. Is that possible that might be happening?
that is our understanding. Jesse Klingenbiel and Mike, I guess, have been talking about how the camera is going to work and everything, but if that's not in my hands, but they know that that's desired, and I think they're going to try to do it.
That's terrific. That's
Yeah.
terrific.
I have been minimally involved, and unfortunately I won't be there because of coaching duties, but as far as I know, the filming is happening.
Okay.
That's terrific.
That'd be great.
Do you guys need an owl?
We need an owl.
Do you?
No, we good. We have equipment. Yep, it's just a question of
Okay.
manpower, but as far as I know, it's taken care of.
Okay, that's good. All
And
right.
is Maria Horn she's still going to do the introduction?
Absolutely. We've been in contact and discussed contact, materials, and I've sent her a bunch of things. But she knows quite a bit about this already, so
Oh,
it's
yeah. Oh,
it's in
yeah.
good hands.
No, because I know in the morning she's very involved with the rally, and then she'll just stay here and move on to you. That's terrific.
Busy weekend.
Mhm.
It is so busy.
Bad weekend for a birthday.
How dare he?
Well, I have to say that I feel very proud that that the conservation, this started as an idea a while back. And I feel very proud that the Conservation Commission is really having this topic now. And I'm very proud of Wendy, who has really put this whole thing together. I mean, she's just really been the leader here, and it's happening, and it's very exciting.
Here,
I
here.
hope not to be disappointed. I hope it's going to be a big thing.
It's the right thing at the right time.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Wendy.
Yes, well done.
So should we talk about the report at all, or do you want to wait until after the program has happened?
I suppose at the program itself, we can ask questions about it, right?
Right.
And
Let's wait. Let's wait.
Space will do a presentation about the report. Wendy?
Yes, well.
Yeah.
What's the question? It'll be, Bernie will present that right away.
Space will do a presentation about the report.
Yes, he'll
Right,
start
right.
out right after Maria Horn's thing. He will get on and he will have those same charts on slides, I think. And
Wendy,
explain-
afterwards we'll paste you a report on the presentation.
I don't know, they might, Bernie just seems to plow up a lot of stuff all the time. He is a energizer bunny, he really is.
So somewhat relatedly, by the way, I just got an email this evening. It came to Manus Consulting, so I'm not sure if the outreach was, based on my being the chair of the commission. It could have been. It's from a person who works for Eversource, actually works for Artis Energy Solutions, who are approved contractors for Eversource, as well as other utility companies. She says, we've met with the towns of Salisbury, New Hartford, Avon, Farmington, and with the Greenwich Country Day School, so I thought I would reach out. Eversource and United Illuminating are paying between $20,000 to $40,000 to support the installation of EV charging stations in Connecticut. So they're incentivizing the make ready up to 100%, and the cost of the charging units up to 50%. Would you be interested in an assessment? It's a great marketing tool to attract more
is.
visitors.
Would you forward that to me? Because I just called the town hall today. I wanted to find out what the status was of our charging stations. Nothing has happened. There's still a broken one. No plans are laid. I mean, that's outrageous. So I would love to put some.
You know what, why don't I'm gonna just forward it to all of us on the commission, and
Okay.
I'll CC Jean, so
I
that
spoke-
she has it
I
too.
spoke to Jean about 2 weeks ago about the fact that our station doesn't work,
Yeah.
and she didn't know, but she said she would do something about it.
Well,
She didn't know that our station didn't work?
What?
It was
the
talked
EV?
about at the
Well,
selectmen's
It's
meeting,
known that for a long time.
Yeah, I
She
think,
told me she didn't know it.
and it
I
was
was-
discussed at the selectmen's meeting just
he's
this
known
last
about
Thursday.
that. I can't believe that. And I have been calling her twice now and sending an email saying, what's the status? I finally got her assistant today who told me that there's nothing afoot, but that one is still broken.
What happened at the selectmen's meeting, Melissa?
She discussed just briefly that she has been looking into either grants or replacing the electric charger. There
Okay,
is a
well,
little
so-
discussion about where the planning and zoning needs to revise their regulations in order to be clear about what they want.
I would think one would be appropriate at the visitor center,
Yeah,
but the Chamber of Commerce ought to look into this too. It's good for business.
but
Yeah.
the problem would be first, the decision by planning and zoning needs to, the regulation has to be written before any new permits will be approved.
And who has to ask for that regulation to be
They're
written?
working on it. They're
Oh.
working on it. Planning and zoning had a draft at their last meeting.
Okay, that's good to know.
There is like federal money coming down the pike for EV charging units, but from what I understand, it's not as simple as you might think. It's not like getting an owl, a meeting owl. It's, the ones that really work and are rapid charging are really expensive and they do break.
They
So-
break?
And there
They
there
break.
is some discussion about the fact that it should be like at the visitor center or more centrally located right on Route 7, and that involves getting some permits from the state to add it onto the road. So it is actually quite complex in many different realms.
But at least something's moving, you're telling me.
She brought it up at the selectmen's meeting, yes.
I think the charges are different for Teslas versus other vehicles.
Oh,
There,
really?
but there's a
Is this like-
converter.
And
Maybe. I was up in Vermont and it said, park your car here if you want to charge it up. And so I parked there and I picked up the charger thing and it doesn't fit in my plug.
that's annoying.
There's a
very
converter that you can
annoying.
get.
There
Just
are
like a phone
whole bunch
converter,
of
you can get a
Tesla ones
converter.
in New Milford on Route 7, at that one gas station, the new gas station.
Oh, do they have one there for Tesla?
Yeah, they have a whole series of
But they're all Tesla.
all
Okay.
Tesla chargers.
How does payment for the electricity get collected? Is it with a charge card?
Yes.
You don't get free, yeah, okay.
At Town Hall.
I think it's free. at
Town Hall is
The
free.
town hall one is free, but if a new one goes in, probably it wouldn't be free.
Yeah. Makes sense.
All right. What is the KCS Carrie Firestone Climate Club?
This all came about because I went to a book signing at the House of Books for somebody else. And the woman who was doing the interview was named Carrie Firestone. And she had a book called something like How to Start a Climate Club. And it's for 7th and 8th graders. And it's told as a fictional story, but it tells kids how to get involved. If they hear all this talk about climate change, here's what they can do. And it gives them all kinds of projects to take on. And I took it over to the principal of the school, and she showed it to the librarian. And they decided right then and there that they wanted to form a climate club. And they bought up, I don't know how many copies of the books, but I saw them, a crate of them. It must have been 20 books there. So they're having this introduction, and Carrie is coming to speak on Friday at 10:45 in the library to all these kids, who will then be encouraged to form a club and engage themselves in all kinds of climate change, kid-sized responsibilities. So I thought it was just a kind of natural connection with what we were already doing. And I thought, kind of nice. Kids are becoming very aware of all this. It's in the curriculum now. So here was a way to act on it.
Which grades, do you know?
7 and 8.
I haven't talked to the librarian yet. I'll find out on Friday, but I think it's anywhere from 6 through 8. I'm not sure who they're inviting. I don't know how many books they bought, but it looks like they're putting their shoulder behind it as a good idea.
Great.
Quick work.
Yeah.
And Carrie Firestone's local, and she lives in Avon. She's
Yeah.
right here in Connecticut.
So she's going to
Is
come.
is the science teacher involved at all?
Yeah, I mean, I
Who's
think
taking the
so.
lead at the school?
I never find anybody to call back with answers to my questions. I know the science teacher was contacted. I think the librarian will be kind of in charge, and I don't know how this club that they hope to start up will occur. But it's all kinds of things, from everything from butterfly bushes to preserve to collecting, to telling your parents not to leave the engine running while waiting in front of the school, a lot of things. And the kids are all,
it's just a wonderful offshoot of all the work that you've been doing. I mean, this fits in right with all of our educational goals, and
Yeah,
it's
it just
just a
seems
perfect age.
And I got her to autograph it for the library. So as soon as on Friday, I'll collect the book and take it over to the library. Because it's dedicated to the kids at the library.
That's great. So a copy for KCS's library or
No,
for
the
Memorial?
book will go to the Kent Memorial Library. KCS has now bought 20 or 30 copies themselves.
Wendy, at some point, I should mail to you, or we'll get, I have the label when we donate a book to the library, from the Conservation Commission, that label should go into it, but we'll take care of that.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, maybe what I'll do is when I collect the book, I'll bring it up, leave it at your house, and it'll give you something you can look at it and label it. That way I get to see you.
Good plan.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Something that has come up in other circles recently around climate change and climate conversations is that Vince LaFontaine has coined a term that he thinks is helpful for talking with kids about climate change. Instead of something being really imposing and kind of, daunting and
Seemingly
scary.
intractable.
And I'm gonna butcher it. So I think what I'm gonna do is instead is like send you all the white paper after this meeting that he wrote. But I think that the term he is using is environmental courage.
Ooh.
Right? It's nice,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if it's not that, it's something exactly like that. That is like more about, having the ability to stand up and do the right thing and to take action and take control over, over what is going to happen in your future.
How about environmental chutzpah?
Environmental chutzpah, like that too.
In one sentence, Connie, what is Vince LaFontaine's position at this point? What is he working? Where is he?
So he is the executive director for the Flanders Nature Center and Land Trust. We're in Woodbury, and they do a ton of kids programming on a campus that includes protected land, but also a farm. And the center runs programs from summer camps to, things on the school vacations to just allowing visitors to come. And he's doing a terrific job, and I get to work with him a lot as a land trust person.
There's a program at Taft School on Friday night, correct?
I think it's November 3rd.
Oh, Friday night, November 3rd.
Is that a Friday?
I think the 4th is a Friday.
I feel like it's a Thursday night.
Oh, okay.
But yes, and there might be 2 programs at Taft.
What are these programs?
But Vince has put together a program that is about research, climate-related scientific research on land trust properties. And they've got various stuff going on, including somebody who studies the woody adelgid, trying to think of what other.
Why Taft?
I think just Woodbury, Taft, the proximity.
Okay.
And there's some professor who might have a connection to the Flanders board. So they've been working with them. And they wanted to involve students.
This may be out of place at this point, but I just wanted to know, have we ever approached him to be on the Conservation Commission? He's our Kent resident and our local farmer.
We have not, I don't think. He'd be a good one.
He might be very busy, but we could sure ask him.
Yeah, well, the girls are grown now, so maybe. I mean, wait till he gets wind that we're talking about this on a public forum, but.
That's right. So that's why I said, let's not discuss. I just wanted to know a yes or no. Let's not discuss it anymore.
Also, Carrie on our agenda is spelled wrong. It's Carrie.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Because I was trying to find the write-up on it and it's wrong.
Yeah.
That's right. Firestone.
Okay.
Wendy, it's a double R and an I.
IE.
Okay. Because I went to Amazon to buy the book. That's where I picked that up. All right.
I just sent you in the chat is the link.
Got
to the
it.
website.
Got it. Okay. Terrific. Good
Right.
catch, Melissa. Okay.
And we move on to the Common Ground program, which is Common Ground with Jane Whitney, who this program, I think, grew out of Conversations on the Green, which was a Washington thing. And she has been doing these live, I guess they're, how would we describe them? They're interviews. It's an interview show. It's kind of like a podcast, but she does them live and they're filmed at Wamogo High School. And the one on October 30th will be on climate change. There is a panel of experts. I watched the one from last year. It's pretty interesting. She had, she gets a variety of people with good perspectives, and she's good at interviewing. Anyway, we are all invited. And I am authorized to share with you a coupon that gets us into the screening for free.
Oh,
If you
good.
would like. They really want people to go and to be aware of the show Common Ground for Jane, with Jane Whitney. And so I'll share around the flyer again, but the code to get in is Climate 22. And you can register using that and get in for free, either in person or to watch it virtually.
What time is it?
It's at 3:00.
Mhm.
Do you have
So
any idea how many people that Wamogo Auditorium holds? I've just heard so many people spreading the coupon code. I feel like it's gonna be crazy insane.
Look, I think that's
That's a good
great.
thing.
That's what they want, right? They want people to be aware of the show. They want them to care about climate change. They know that they've got, a bunch of communities here who really care. So, and I did say, how many people do you want us to give the code to? And she said, everyone, all
just
of
say-
the people in your circles.
Mhm.
If you have an interest in going, I would just say register right now because I have a feeling it's gonna be full.
Maybe, and they will be people that doing tables in the lobby because all of the environmental concerns have been invited to do that. So you will see Land Trust, but you might also see like the Washington Environmental, is it club
Council.
or
Council.
council? So, different organizations just tabling, being a friendly face, interacting. Should be fun. Any questions on that?
So will it also be shown on PBS? Because they've been showing their Common Ground programs on PBS, right?
Yeah, it should be. I
Mhm.
mean, it's,
Connecticut PBS.
Yeah,
you can look, I think that you can look at past episodes when you go.
I've seen some past episodes of
Yeah.
some of their
Yeah.
previous things.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna, it's not something that will bring attention to our area, because it's
Mhm.
not gonna be specific to Northwest Connecticut.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess it's kind of cool if you are there to then see it on
Mhm.
PBS.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a nice gathering of people. And then our third event, a little, at this point, a little far away, but the library and a number of partners have worked to bring Douglas Brinkley to talk about his new book called Silent Spring Revolution, which really focuses on some of those heroes that have displayed environmental courage in the past. And that event will also, like the Green Energy Program, be at the Kent School, from what I understand.
Oh,
Maybe they think that it is larger than what Town Hall can accommodate.
Yeah, I think it's 300-ish seats.
Mhm.
So, so that's it on our climate programs. It's a climate fall. And now let's move into updates as needed. So with the POCD, we're getting set for the public hearing on November 10th. And I don't think there's anything for our commission to do other than to be there and be supportive of P and Z as they go through the
Mhm.
hearing.
Do you know if it's just Zoom, just virtual, or are they getting together in
I
live?
Don't know. It's on my calendar, but I didn't really
Yeah.
take notice of that. Melissa, do
Yeah.
you know?
I think it was in person.
They haven't had any in-person meetings yet, have they?
Yeah, they did
Oh, did they? Oh,
last week, right? There was a
I do
book
want to
signing.
say one thing about that, the POCD. I got a copy of it at the building office. And I was disappointed, that's my best word, to see that the Northern Gateway has been taken off the list entirely. It went from #1 position to non-existing. That is still an undetermined property. It's in a lawsuit now, so I don't know, but it is troubling to me that it has just been erased.
Wendy, I don't
Well-
think we should talk about that property specifically while the lawsuit is pending.
Okay, but let's say
Maybe
then there's something in the POCD that has changed in a dramatic way. I object.
and they weren't ranked. They weren't ranked before, and they're not ranked now. But I think they still have the fields in there north of town. It's just
The
not.
fields south of town are still
What?
there. The fields south of town, I believe, are still
It's
there.
north of town. I think they're still part. There's no. They didn't drop a town character area. They just don't speak about the Northern Gateway so much anymore. Also because they had divided opinions. Some people thought Northern Gateway was further north, like where the state land starts, and others were saying that property that was talked about. So I think maybe that's why they left it away. They didn't agree on it.
Well, out of sight, out of mind, that's the problem.
Okay, anything else to say about the POCD? And I suggest we go, whether it's in person or virtual, to be present.
And we have a new land use administrator.
We do,
Yeah.
Tie.
we do. I was
Right.
able to meet her. So
Yeah.
was Liddy at Donna's retirement
Mhm.
party.
How was that?
It was nice, very
Yeah.
nice.
It was nice. Okay, Kent Trails, a hiker's guide. We had a little bit of a report already. Is there anything else?
There really
to
isn't
say?
anything else.
Okay. Native plants and pollinator pathways. I don't know that there's anything new, other than, today I was very much put in mind of not cleaning up leaves because there are so many more on the ground. So, I guess that in my heart of hearts, if I had more time, I would hope that our commission could get together with the people in town and talk with them about how things went pollinator pathway wise this year, and what no mow May was like, and leave the leaves, and things like not using a gas blower, and all of that. I personally am tapped out right now to do that because it's so busy. But I think it's an important conversation, and it's important that we not drop that we continue the thread in some way.
You're talking with the people who took part in this effort, like the people who did the no mow and stuff.
I really
Yeah.
mean the town,
The whole
because the town
town,
passed
okay.
that resolution,
Mhm.
and there is a ton of great, very aspirational declarations in that resolution, including things like planting a certain number of native plants when they do any planting, refraining from mowing certain areas, not using herbicides and pesticides. There's probably, I haven't gone back to it recently, but there probably is something in there about leave the leaves, no fall
Mhm.
cleanup. And I don't know how much of that the town has actually, done and where,
Mhm.
and I think we did realize that there might be areas that the town felt more comfortable with leaving messy than other areas.
Honey, where could we read that resolution? I don't know that I've ever seen it.
I know that you've seen it, Wendy, because we reviewed it several times in our meeting before we took it to the Board of Selectmen so that they could adopt it.
And that
Well,
would have been in probably
And that would have
April.
been in spring, yeah, because it was before No Mo May.
Yeah,
Well, where can I go to read it now? Because in my geriatric state, I don't recall.
It might be on our webpage, but if it's not, I would start by just searching your email from
shouldn't we see it on the town website somewhere?
I'm thinking that it,
Oh, it's aged out.
well, you know what, also, Wendy, you could probably go to like the minutes. They don't always put the documents, the supporting
It would be in
documents
the
with them.
selectmen's folder. It would be in our previous emails.
But all those are not, the public, if good as this is, the public needs to be reminded of it. Why can't it be put?
Well,
in
it's a
some-
matter of all resolutions in the
Yeah.
town should be in that kind of format. Not just this one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of resolutions and ordinances and all of that that should be in public view on our website.
Where
not just
where
this
are
one.
they then, Melissa?
Usually
Right
the
now,
town-
they're in paper form in the town clerk's office.
Well, I would just think since it's fall and you want people to do an unfamiliar thing, still unfamiliar to them, it would be good to remind them, that's all.
Right, but we don't, I mean, we do want people in general to do that, and there's a ton of social media posts and stuff like that out there. I mean, it's not hard to find information about what practices are better, for pollinators.
Oh, it's just
I-
a difference
What we
between a
want
put-
is the town, because the town's resolution was to do it themselves.
We
And
need to be able to see that resolution to say to people, this is what you're supposed to be doing, not just common practice or whatever, but the regulation itself.
right, well, it's not
That's
a
what I'm asking,
resolution, it's a resolution, and the
Resolution,
town
sorry.
said that they would do
Resolution.
certain practices and be supportive.
So where can
Of-
we see that?
So, I
Just
mean,
put it in the link in the chat.
yeah, so Melissa just put it in
Oh,
the
good.
chat,
Thank you, Melissa.
so that would be fine for Carol, Wendy, those of us not sitting around the table.
Mhm. One of
But
you send it around.
yeah, and keep it this time, because we talked about it a
Yeah.
lot,
Oh, but we're on the Conservation Commission. I'm simply saying it's the difference between a push or a pull as far as promoting something. It's much better to remind people. Because not everybody thinks about it. So we can't even get them to sort their garbage. So,
Right,
reminding.
well, I guess that's kind of where I started this conversation, was it would be great to sit down with representatives from the town, say, how'd it go? What worked, what didn't work, where are the challenges, what could we do next year? And to really just, feedback with respect to what happened.
Sit down with whom?
I would do the selectmen and probably Rick Osborne. And maybe even Jared, because parks are being managed in a certain way. They're being mowed, they're
Okay.
being cleaned, they're being, treated. So those would be the players that I would say we need to have the dialogue with. And really, it's not about like forcing them to do something. It's more, we talked with you about this. You thought it was a good idea. How'd it go? I mean, we're not mowing lawns for the town, we're sitting up here in the kitchen. We need to know what was hard and how can we get better, And we need to be supportive too, because I don't know if you guys have ever participated in the meetings where like they have talked about getting electric vehicles or electric equipment, but they take a real beating for it. And, I mean, it's kind of, they go out on a limb, to think about change, to think about being progressive, and they don't get a ton of support. They get a lot of arguments. So it would be good for the Conservation Commission to join them in, you know, the steps that they want to take to improve. So, does anyone have any ideas for if we could have that conversation? Do we want to try and do it in the context of one of our meetings and invite people? Do we want to try and zoom into one of their meetings?
Seems to me it might be more productive if the selectmen would put it on one of their agendas, and then it would be right in front of them.
So shall I reach out and say, could you put this on an agenda and we'll have a discussion?
And suggest that Rick and Jared be invited specifically.
Those
Yeah.
are long meetings that they have,
I know.
don't they? They have so much on their agenda, I wish.
Number
Hard
one.
to- hard to sit through a
number
whole
one
meeting.
On their agenda, how about that?
Yeah, right.
Can we be
Everybody
on your
wants to
agenda?
be.
And by the way, put us first. Yeah, well, I will do that outreach.
Alternately, we could do a questionnaire and just ask them to independently say how they felt it went. That wouldn't require a meeting.
It wouldn't, but it would require somebody to compile a
I
questionnaire.
don't mind compiling it once this other thing is done.
I'm not sure
Oh,
you
I
get the
wondered.
kind of, I'm not sure you get the kind of questions and follow-up if you do it in a questionnaire that an actual conversation might bring out.
Well, if they're willing to converse, that's great.
You know, I think it would be interesting to include John Casey and some of the businesses that took it on with sizable amounts of property also.
So would
That's
be,
a very good idea.
do you see that, Melissa, do you see that happening in a select board meeting?
No, I think it needs to be a special Conservation Commission meeting.
Or
With that,
could we do it with Wendy's survey?
I don't
just-
think that that's
You
gonna
know,
get
the
the same-
survey, I feel like the survey might, I think that we'll get a richer discussion if we have, like, if we
In
have an
person.
actual discussion, because,
I
you
just
know,
think it's hard.
we don't
to-
want to know, like, did you do no mow May? Yes, no. Like, if, like, I
more
don't
dis-
know.
I understand,
Yeah,
understand.
If it were more, please come to this special meeting, how can we help? Sort of invitation, that might be
Yeah.
more productive, is that what you're saying?
And we want to know, we want to learn, like, I think this is about a learning experience and how to improve messaging, how to, you know, we're all aware that there were some kinks in the system.
And Melissa,
Yeah,
you sent that to my old email
I
account.
sent it to both.
Okay,
I don't know which one's your real email and which is your old.
email
sent
is my real one.
Which one?
Gmail.
Okay.
so if we were to do a special meeting, would you guys want to do it in the evening? Would you want to do it?
Why not ask the participants that we hope will show up?
Well, if we do it virtually, we can do it in the evening. They probably won't like to come to a live evening meeting. And for me, it would be difficult to do it during the daytime. But if we do a virtual evening meeting, it should be easy enough for them to show their face.
In November?
I think it
That's
needs to
good.
be after the sidewalk project has wrapped up, or else Rick has no time to do this.
I agree.
In November. Do you guys want to do it as a special meeting? Do you want to do it as an add-on or instead of our November meeting?
We can do it as a special meeting, maybe give them a choice between a couple of dates. And so we can get most people.
I can do a doodle.
Yeah.
Will the sidewalk be wrapped up by then?
That
They're
is the
moving
number one
along.
question of the month. I don't know, Carol. I don't think anyone knows.
I think.
I absolutely agree. It has to be after the sidewalk is finished.
Why don't we come back to this next month and decide?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I could doodle some later dates in November.
I guess I'm wondering if it could be our meeting and it could be in January even, you know, like I'm not sure that
Okay,
there's
Yeah,
a
we're
reason
not-
that
we
we'll
need
come
to
back
rush.
to it
We
next
needn't
week.
rush into this.
Okay,
No, I agree.
But we don't want to wait till March or April.
No.
No, I think January would be probably pretty
January
perfect,
sounds
and
like
it
a
could be
good
our
discussion.
And it could be our regular meeting because we'll have tied up the climate series and have less on our maybe plates. Maybe
okay.
I jinxed it.
So all I will say though about that is that all of us in this room don't leave the leaves. Don't rake them up. There are little caterpillars spending the winter in there, and the birds need the seed heads for food. Don't clean up your garden. Just leave it.
I think it would be good if the agenda if you wrote leave the leaves as an agenda item, because then people read the agenda and see that exactly. And then they'll start digging, what do we mean?
Did you say they'll start digging it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 1977 all over
Let's start
again.
digging
Yes,
it.
it is.
All right, leave
Digging
the
into
leaves.
it.
Leave the leaves. And Melissa, if you haven't already, I know that you will probably spread that on our social media accounts.
Yep.
Leave the leaves. Good.
How does chopping them up with a mower rank and leaving them?
That's good.
That's what I've always done, and I
Okay,
like it.
caterpillar.
No, okay,
I mean, I think they would prefer you to leave the leaves and chop them up after, like, in March or May, March
Well,
or April, like,
Problem is the leaves do not fall in equal amounts everywhere.
the maple leaves become very dense and wet.
Right.
If they're chopped up,
Kill
it's-
everything under them.
they survive, they do much better. For the oak leaves, it doesn't matter because they're very dry. But maple leaves, I chop them up, ideally.
Killer.
Hmm. But I leave them.
Well, I mean, that's good
and
for
they
the
can-
soil and it's
and you
good for your
don't,
lawn.
and you don't mean the animals aren't right under it right away. So,
What do you mean?
Yeah. well, they usually later in the season they start hiding under
Like
there.
the mice.
My-
But the
but I-
caterpillars are there right now. The praying mantis eggs are there right
Yeah.
now.
No chopping.
well,
No chopping. Leave as many of them as you
Yeah.
can.
Mm.
Only chop in the areas where you have to.
Yeah.
And let's face it, we could all do with a much less lawn. And then you
Yeah.
wouldn't have that problem.
no, I agree with you.
Does anybody know of a poster or a short article or something that then I could just share out on Facebook? I mean, aside with what Melissa puts on our thing on Facebook, how do I share that with all my friends?
you just click share. I've put it on there numerous times. When I see a good one, I always share out.
So we need a
guilty.
good one. We need a good one on Leave the Leaves Now. I mean, that's our focus right now.
I
I
think
would
we
look
have
for one.
it.
I mean, I definitely have posted numerous.
Okay,
It's
all right,
been
I'll
out
take a look.
out there, but let's spread the word. Leave the
Okay.
leaves.
And-
Definitely do not use a gas blower, leaf blower.
And you can look at the National Wildlife Federation website or the Xerces websites. They have a lot of information.
The Xerxes one's really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Which one is really good?
Xerces, they do insects and butterflies and such.
Oh,
Xerces.
thank you.
All right, sustainable CT. I didn't know, Wendy, that you were going to one of their meetings.
It was canceled today.
Oh. Did
I
they
don't think-
reschedule?
I have a feeling they're not getting very far. But we'll see.
Sustainable materials management in Kent. Anyone with an update, with any news? No.
I heard that the, what do you call it, the fees, the tipping fees have gone way up in Connecticut. They said on NPR from $45 to $140 this year. So that's crazy.
I'm not really, you know, that is consistent, I think, with what I've been hearing, because I have seen lots of outreach by transfer stations,
Yeah.
you know, saying, bring us your stuff, you know, like they actually want to be able to send stuff back,
To send stuff back.
to like
to-
divert the waste and to, you know, to pay to, I guess, with their tipping fees, they want to make sure that the loads that they're sending are economically the
Mhm.
best.
High tipping fees are good for recycling.
Yes.
We want that.
we do.
It should cost 5 times as much as it does.
Well, but the tipping fees are also for recycling. They're also high. I don't know of what the recycling fees are at the moment, but last year or 2 years ago, the recycling fees had become as high as the garbage fees, which
Oh,
is
that's
not
bad.
good.
No,
That's not good.
that is
And
not
it
good
used
at
to be a
all.
lot lower. It went down again, but I don't know how they are now. So, I mean, that's not good.
Right.
No, reduce, reuse,
Yeah.
recycle. Hierarchy. Okay, ordinance enabling Kent to purchase open space and other land, nothing new.
Is that something we should keep on the agenda each month?
I
Yeah,
think
I
so.
think so, yeah.
I think
Okay,
so.
fine.
We
Okay.
have to get to it, and I think we'll get the POCD published, and then we'll take up the charge.
Hmm.
you
Okay,
know, to
fine.
really
What
do
if
it.
we created like a task force under KCC that included someone from the public and someone from the KCC and like one other person, 2 people from the public, and they worked on it. They would still have to do warned meetings and whatnot. Well, actually, if it's only one person from KCC, then they don't need to do warned meetings, and then they can bring it to us for review.
I think
And-
it's not the ordinance itself that is so difficult. We have the models, you know, we have the reports. And what is gonna be a little bit more time consuming is just building the consensus so that when we bring it to a town meeting, it would actually pass. You
But
know,
if
so
we create a group that is a subcommittee of the KCC we can make more momentum on it and actually like formulate those.
perhaps,
I just find it hard to always fit everything within the actual meeting.
I mean, we can definitely and do, you know, focus on certain discussion items over others. I think we can move this up to the top. In fact, it's a matter of coming prepared, making a strategy. I don't, you know, I don't see how a subcommittee is gonna move it any faster. I
It's
think
a
that
matter of
just-
someone putting it as their top priority, one of us taking it on as their top priority and having the bandwidth to do that. And when you pull people from the outside, the KCC, there is someone out there, I'm sure, that has an interest in bringing this forward.
What's the best time of year from the standpoint of
winter.
getting it on the radar of our town? The winter?
Well,
Like,
winter is the
before
best
the
time to
budget
work.
season,
Yeah.
before
Christmas
budget
and before
starts,
budget.
you know, as soon as budget season starts, that you're not gonna get the selectmen's attention on anything.
But on the top of the agenda in February.
Right, but you know that, I mean, whatever route we take has ramifications for the actual budget too. And that is why we need to, because the money's gotta come from somewhere.
Mhm.
Right,
And
it has to
sometimes-
come before March, though, is my point, that the budget discussion starts early March. So if we wanna actually take this off the ground, and you're right, it has budget implications, then we have to be discussing it no later than, yet again, January, and be ready by the March meeting.
That's good.
Or probably earlier, because it's gonna take us more than 1 or 2 meetings.
Yeah, I think it could take us a year to pass this,
Yeah.
to be honest.
I do too, but
Just
I,
looking at,
To
by
pass
Yeah.
it, yes.
Yeah.
but Spend the
And-
year getting it out.
getting it.
And I
ready.
don't know if it makes sense to get somebody from the Board of Finance involved. On the other hand, in the past, we had these committees on these funds. And we had somebody from the Board of Finance, but the only thing he did was scuttle us. So that didn't help us much. But
We can do it. Let's just put it to this
December agenda, top of the line.
top of the line for November.
Okay, I hear you.
Top of the line for November.
so like the debriefs of all of the climate things, that's at the end of the meeting.
Sure,
Well,
that can be
refreshers.
updates as needed.
Well, but
That can be updates as needed. You know, this is it's probably a time to get going on this. And it'll be the night before the POCD hearing.
What is
So,
the date again of the POCD here?
November 10th.
November 10th. Okay.
Our next meeting is November 9th. Okay, so Follow the Forest Community Science. If you remember, at our last meeting, we decided that we could have Paul Singer come here and talk about linkage assessments. Unfortunately, Paul was scheduled to present to the Shelton Land Trust tonight because they had their board meeting. So he was disappointed, would like to be invited back. If we're gonna do ordinance in November, I would say we don't do November for Paul because we won't be able to get all of that done within the space of one meeting. I did want to show you that there are very few linkages in Kent that haven't been assessed. So, I'm actually going to go ahead and share up the screen here for a second. So you get a sense of what Follow the Forest is and has up on its website. So this is the Follow the Forest home screen, and it's hard for the people in the room to see, but this horizontal nav bar at the top will get you to the maps. And one of them is this linkages map. And the linkages map, which I've queued up to show Kent, shows on this particular viewing, it shows protected parcels, so you can kind of get your bearings on that. And the linkages are these numbered little ovals. And these got here, they were placed here based on analysis that Stacy Deming, who is HVA's GIS director, she runs a model that looks at core forest and looks at places to move in between those core forests. And then places ovals where it looks like a connection is needed. Now, what the Follow the Forest model needs is to ground truth those, because in many cases, the model is not as specific enough. It's not granular enough to know that, once you go to a physical situation, you go on site, you see that that connector is not really a good connector because, for example, there are steep grades on either side of the road and a big steel roadside, guardrail, right, impeding movement of animals. So the whole idea of these linkages is, can animals move in between core forests, which is a very good indicator of environmental resiliency and our ability to sustain biodiversity.
Now you're saying animals, but lots of different animals like birds fly over, I mean, that makes a lot of difference, and
It does.
small animals go under the guardrails, but so
Right. So we're not largely talking about birds because birds don't really have that many barriers
Mhm.
around here. Birds do need interior forests. So the proximity of core forest is important for birds
Mhm.
as well as early successional. But we're primarily talking about terrestrial
mhm.
and some aquatic species as well. But so if you think about, can a bear move? Can a deer move? Can a raccoon move? Can a turkey move? Can a salamander move? And we've talked about big night before too. So like we know, so there is, so anyway, if we look at this map, and I did earlier today, I really realized that there's maybe, 10 linkages that have not been assessed. And our goal is to have all of the linkages assessed because once they are, it really can help us to prioritize more what land needs to be protected on either side of the road and what that will do for the ability for animals to use wildlife corridors. And also how you treat those lands on either side, right? So even if they're never permanently protected as conservation land, how you manage them and how you make decisions about road infrastructure too, like whether or not you put up a guardrail. It's really, those decisions can be informed by this kind of data. So I did want to, and Yos, you've used the green print maps before, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I did kind of want to show you that you can toggle on and off some of these things. So I put protected land on because that to me actually seemed a little bit easier to figure out where I was when I did that. But I also wanted to show you forest cores so that you can visualize a little bit better how Follow the Forest is really looking to connect up these areas of core forest, which are blocks of forest that are 250 acres or more, buffered in from the road by a certain amount of feet because of predation. So kind of cool stuff. I have like my hopes that maybe in Kent, we might be able to do some assessment of these wildlife.
Did you say that most of them had already been assessed?
Few of them are, the ones that are filled in are. So I have not, I haven't had the chance to like really study this, but I feel like I could be, I feel like if I looked at it, I could say, hey, this number, like this is really close to your house. Could you just take a look next time you're out for a walk to observe, whether or not animals could pass on this road? Things like the speed limit, things like the slope on either side, things like guardrails, things like not having a lot of vegetative cover are all things that matter to whether or not animals can successfully cross the road. And there also is a roadkill app where we're collecting data about where people are seeing a lot of animals hit, because if there are, if there are places that are, really popular for roadkill, places where it happens quite frequently, then that is an area to study whether something can be done to, to help preserve a linkage and the ability for animals to move.
Now this spot where you have your cursor on Route 341 East, do you know what the conclusion there was?
I don't, and I know we have it somewhere,
Yeah.
right?
But-
This map just says assessed.
Right.
It doesn't say assessed as
Okay.
good or assessed as
But
bad.
I
that's
suppose
like the
there you would
next-
say Route 341 is too busy, too wide, that there's no
You can't do anything
good
about it.
linkage there.
Well, yeah, I
or-
mean, eventually you get to the point where, like in a place out west, on a much larger highway, this is the kind of thing where they make a decision to make a wildlife bridge. Now, we're not going to do that in Kent because it's not like there's just one place for wildlife to cross. There are a lot of places for wildlife to cross, but we can think about whether you know, whether culverts are large enough to allow for terrestrial passage as well as fish passage. Can never say those two words together.
Say it 10 times fast.
It's really hard. We can think about whether in guardrails there are any like breaks in the guardrail, or whether the design of it would be an impediment or, you know, a facilitator. Personally, I thought that when they set up the new cell tower, so then all of a sudden people could use their cell phones on 341, and when they put up the guardrails, which make people feel safer, and so then they speed up and they quit looking, like that to me made it so much worse. But we've even gone so far with Paul Singer to meet with the Northwest Council of Governments road supervisors meeting, and to bring it up because road kill is actually very expensive
And dangerous.
and dangerous. It's a safety issue. So being able to kind of make those alignments with, I guess, you know, non-obvious partners, you know, just because this is an issue that impacts the health of us all. So we'll see where we go with it.
Funny, a question, the river is such a divider. What do we do about that? I mean, do deer run across the bridge?
They
They swim.
swim.
So do bears.
They're really good swimmers,
They are,
actually.
those skinny
Yeah.
legs propel them. I
They
don't know
swim
why.
across the Housatonic?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've never
Well, there are
s-
places where it's so
I've
They
never
shallow.
swim across what is it, the bays on the south shore of Long Island,
Really?
all the way across those bays.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're, you know, they're wide.
You can
Wow.
go down some major wormholes with this, right? Because, you know, the smaller animals might not be able to cross the river, but in certain times of the year they can. And like, what does that do to
Nah.
diversity? You know, does that
Don't worry
still
about it.
preserve their ability
Yeah.
to like migrate? Because of course, climate change and migration, even trees migrate. At this point, we're assessing linkages.
Period.
We're really taking away from it what we can learn about how to treat the land that we know best in detail because of our living in this community and our knowledge about the landscape.
Connie, sorry to interrupt. I have to go in a couple minutes.
I think we're about done.
Is it okay if I'm not here for the next part of the agenda?
No, it's better if you're here.
Okay.
We'll move on.
I'll stop.
We can all go and look at this.
You can all
Yes,
go and
we
look
will.
at it, and I hope that you think it's interesting, at least. It's been a fun project to work on, and Paul has been terrific at engaging students and volunteers in doing this. And the town of Washington was the first town to assess all of its linkages.
Go Washington.
Or volunteers? Were they being trained?
They stuck Steep Rock interns on it
Uh-huh.
over the summer. And they did
That was great.
have, like, I do have a report, Lydia, of like how many were good. So they
Oh, I
actually
see.
had
Okay.
some
Hey, gotta
crossings
move
that
on,
were not
folks. Move on.
good. Okay, Wendy, we're moving.
We're
And
gonna
some
lose-
that were excellent and two gradations in
good.
between.
Good.
Okay.
New business.
So the new business is the reappointment of both Mike and Liddy, who have both, you know, said that they would be willing to stay on. And I think it is probably the prevailing opinion around the table and on the Zoom that we would love to have you stay on. So, although.
Should we leave the room so you can actually say how you feel?
No, I don't think anybody, I really, I think that is like a formality that I would probably do, you know, just given the way that I can really be like nuts about conflicts of interest, but there is nobody who does not welcome you guys to stay on and look forward to working with you for another term. So if we can just do that.
Motion to approve Mike Benjamin and Elizabeth Baker to another term to each of them.
I second it.
How long is that term?
Third it, yeah.
3
I
years?
think they're
right?
3 years. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
one is, I think the alternate is 2 years maybe, and the member is 3, but it doesn't really,
Get really
Darlene
confusing.
helps us figure that all out in her great memory.
Yeah, and we do have spots for 2 more alternates, I was informed. So we can continue to think about people who might be good candidates to join us. Okay, that motion is seconded and on the table, and if there's no further discussion, all in favor, raise their hands.
I vote for
You can
Libby.
vote for each other.
Mhm.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. And the last bit of business is correspondence to let you know. I mean, I did circulate, I think, the notice that the Kakiwik annual meeting is happening on Saturday, October 29th. So much
I
going
signed
on.
up and I have a receipt here.
Good.
Yost, you are so good for going
Yes.
year after year and coming back and
Yeah,
giving
I
us a
think it's
report
always
about what you
interesting.
learned.
I think it got
Yeah.
more expensive.
It did get more expensive. Well, last year was extra cheap because there was no lunch. It was all virtual last year.
Okay.
Oh,
So,
well, I hope
Better
it
and
was-
they have a new venue again,
they better feed you well. Where is
Yeah.
it?
in North Haven,
Okay.
some hotel,
hotel.
Best Western Hotel or something.
And just to
Nice.
correct what you just said, Connie, I think we only have 1 vacancy on our, as an alternate. The website
Oh.
only shows that we have 1, and I'm pretty sure it's just 2 alternates for our board.
For whatever reason, Joyce wrote 2, so I was going off of her email, but let's get one at a time anyway. Right, let's shoot for 1, and then we can start figuring out whether or not we have time for another. And if there is no further new business, anything to discuss, we can adjourn this meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
All right,
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.